Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're back to talking about James Charles. Wow, it feels like we're in, what, 2016 again? So we're here. I did not expect to talk about James Charles again until I saw that he did an interview with Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan itself, to me, is not really journalism. I have lacked respect for that publication for over a decade, and I continue to do so proudly. So I'm using Cosmopolitan mainly because they're the ones who interviewed him, so I wanted to go straight to the source, but do not mistake that for me respecting that publication in any which way. That being said, this article is quite long. I will link it down below, but there is a lot of fluff, which is not surprising for Cosmopolitan, but there are a lot of things that I think that if you're here, you already know, like the scandals, the allegations. If you're here, I feel like you already know that. So in this article, James Charles obviously talks about being canceled. Now, the title of the article itself is James Charles would like to be uncanceled, please. Then it says, more than 2 years after allegations of sexual impropriety sent the superstar beauty YouTuber into influencer purgatory, he's hoping to relaunch himself and his brand with the help of a new makeup line. In a wide-ranging interview with Cosmopolitan, Charles talks about fucking up and trying to move on. Right off the bat, I have a little bit of an issue, which is actually kind of a big issue. I do not like the use of the term canceling for everything and anything, because canceling to me, and you guys can let me know if you have a different interpretation, canceling to me has the implication that something happened and that something may be fucked up, but it's not an actual crime. Like, I wouldn't say a murderer was canceled because they were sent to jail, right? Because a crime was committed, so that's... With James Charles, he's not a murderer that I know of, but it's like what you were being accused of is not just being canceled because you were a diva at an event or you were a dick to a fan. Like, it's bigger than canceling. This is life-changing, reputation-ruining shit. So even referring to it as canceling turns all of this into a big joke, I'm sorry to say. So initially they talk about how he organizes his Oreos like Khloe Kardashian, and the fact that his house is minimalistic, the colors of his dogs. Anyway, so it goes on to explain how James Charles became famous, okay, the whole ring light in his yearbook thing, okay, whatever. In February of 2021, at age 21, James Charles confronted a career crisis he couldn't quickly apologize for or capitalize on. He was publicly accused of sending lewd photos and inappropriate sexual images to a then 16-year-old fan. Charles says he was misled into believing the boy was 18 and that he blocked him as soon as he learned the truth. I've never been more disgusted in my life than when I found out that kid was 16 years old, Charles says now. I was mortified, absolutely mortified. The allegation triggered more complaints against Charles. They were primarily disseminated in the form of TikToks filled with screenshots of flirtatious conversations Charles had allegedly conducted with a number of fans. A few of the reported accusations, like the initial one, were serious and claimed to detail inappropriate online interactions between Charles and minors. Other claims, including an incident in which Charles allegedly called someone daddy, felt muddier. Almost all of them eventually rounded up into viral Twitter threads by a controversial poster who keeps track of internet scandals, now under fire himself. In the end, substantiated or not, multiple media reports indicated that at least 15 boys and men had accused Charles of inappropriate behavior. Charles says now about the breadth of the allegations. The source of where the list came from was not doing any sort of research, no fact-checking. Some of the screenshots depicted consensual conversations between adults, he says. Others were completely fake and never even happened. Charles has never been legally charged with engaging inappropriately with a minor, let alone proven to have knowingly done so. Nevertheless, that April, Charles uploaded a 14-minute YouTube video titled Holding Myself Accountable, where he admitted to inadvertently exchanging messages with two 16-year-old boys he said he was led to believe were 18, and he apologized for his desperate behavior. So that's a quick recap of what happened. I'm going to immediately just say, if you have millions upon millions upon millions of followers, subscribers, whatever, I really don't think, for the most part, that your dating pool should be those followers and subscribers. Now, granted, you might meet a follower, subscriber, whatever, who's of age and who's right for you. That being said, the majority of the time, I feel like it's just going to be too complicated because you're already kind of on a pedestal because they are your fan. And also, I don't know about other people, but if I imagine myself in that position of having millions of followers, subscribers, and I start dating one of them, honestly, maybe it's my paranoid ass. If we broke up, they would use anything and everything against me. Like, I feel like nothing would be private. Oh, I absolutely did fuck up, he says, but he denies that he ever engaged in grooming, a practice defined by the anti-sexual violence organization as manipulative behaviors that an abuser uses to gain access to a potential victim, coerce them to agree to the abuse, and reduce the risk of being caught. Charles continues, I feel that word is a very popular buzzword right now, especially in politics and stuff, but the actual meaning of it has been so misconstrued. Referring to the first allegation against him, he adds, the conversation lasted 1 hour. I don't know this person, I've never met this person, nothing happened between me and this actual person, so to use that word is so categorically incorrect. I have not seen the entire interaction, of course I've seen the screenshots and all that, but I really don't think that James Charles is the authority on what grooming is or isn't. Again, this returns to poor journalism because really, if we're going to talk about grooming, go to a source that is reputable. I can't even begin to explain to you how bad that week of my life was, Charles remembers as he looks out at his backyard. I was crying myself to sleep every night. I was sitting there in my bed staring at my phone. I wanted to kill myself. I wasn't talking to anybody. People threw food into his yard and spray painted his property's fence, prompting him to hire security. I think I've always been somebody who's been able to cope. He continues, I've been able to turn my phone off, to go see family, to have friends over, go to an escape room, watch a fun movie, play Mario Kart, play Minecraft, build a Lego set. With the situation, it was really scary because my coping mechanisms weren't coping. It was the first time where I was like, oh fuck, I actually don't know what to do here. I eventually got to a point where I was like, this is not healthy, this is not good, this is getting to a really fucking dark place. The fallout became deeply personal when his younger brother, who works as a model in New York City, stopped talking to him because of the allegations. It's now been 2 years since they last spoke, Charles says. Now, family things are always deeply complicated, so I really do not want to speculate. I'm just gonna say, if your own sibling stops talking to you because of allegations, I really do have to wonder what the fuck. Basically, for me, I don't know what their relationship is like, but I don't even know why they included this because realistically, this makes him look really bad. Because first of all, he could have not mentioned the brother because obviously, like I said, this makes him look bad, but it really does emphasize the fact that clearly the allegations made weren't just some crazy allegations that a bunch of people on the internet believed because people on the internet are stupid. If your own fucking sibling believed them enough to just cut you off, why is that? I'm not going to go into family dynamics because that truly is none of my business. I don't know why that was included. In the summer of 2021, Charles prepared a comeback video, a 30-minute YouTube post titled An Open Conversation, which began with the acknowledgement that it would be ridiculous and irresponsible to try to just come back to social media and pretend like nothing happened. It quickly became YouTube's most disliked video of the week according to Forbes, although it's been watched more than 6 million times to date. His next post about a TikTok cookie trend was only the 3rd most disliked video of the week. So Charles kept posting, driven by what I'd armchair therapist diagnose as a compulsive need for online interaction. It's not just his brand, it's his entire personality since grade school. Now that is a fucking drag. Imagine someone saying that your entire personality hinges on the internet. Like you're not a person without the internet. Romantic relationships would become a whole other challenge, one that ultimately led to the incidents, he says. Finding dating prospects in the rarefied influencer celebrity strata he eventually vaulted into was tough. Quickly, please name 5 famous male gay celebrities from the ages of 20 to 25, he says. You can't because they don't exist. I personally am not about to list 5 gay people who are 20 to 25, though it seems insane to me. Granted, I'm not in the scene, maybe I'm Delulu, but Hollywood. You are really going to tell me that in Hollywood, maybe they're not influencers, maybe they're not makeup influencers, but you really are gonna try to tell me that in Hollywood, in California, in Los Angeles, you cannot find someone with a level of celebrity who is 20 to 25 and is gay? Are you for real? Like, come on, like, honestly, this is some real bullshit. Now, do I believe it's probably extremely difficult to date in his position? Yes, that I do believe. That being said, just because it's difficult for you to date, it doesn't mean there aren't any 25-year-old gays, okay? Like, truly, please, let us not go there. His biggest mistakes, he now thinks, were making himself too available and recklessly hitting on anyone he thought might be showing him interest. His intention was never to prey on minors, he said. He tried to explain all this in holding myself accountable, but it just didn't come across right, he reflects. I've been fucked over by men so many different times. At this point, I just want a fucking boyfriend. Somebody that's going to love me, that's going to care for me. So a lot of times, I just go into talking to somebody with rose-colored glasses. I still have to ask, though, why didn't he just stick to actual adult dating apps? He tells me he previously had accounts on Raya, never heard of it, Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and while he did go on dates with people he met there, he ultimately felt too exposed, like anyone he swiped right on was going to take screenshots of the conversation or brag to their friends about it. He doesn't fully address that anyone on any social media platform could do the same. This makes no sense to me, and the journalists themselves noted this. Feeling super exposed because you're on Tinder, Bumble, whatever the fuck, at least there's a concrete reason to believe that someone's 18 because they'll have listed themselves as 18. I guess it feels slightly more official to me. Granted, people can lie on dating apps, of course. The other thing is also, there is an extra level of anonymity. Granted, like I said, James Charles is a celebrity, so a lot of people will know him. It's one thing to message people from your verified Instagram where they'll see that you have millions of followers, and it's a very different thing to message someone from an app where there isn't your following listed. And of course they can look you up, but it's not the first thing they see, so I feel like that also makes things relatively different. So then it goes into his first product, Create Paint, which is a set of cream colors in 10 shades encased in tubes to look like art supplies, designed for use on the eyes, face, and body, blah, blah, blah. So I personally don't care to advertise James Charles' product. All of this to me seems rather surreal simply because it doesn't really add up to me. Because you make a video apologizing, you make a video holding yourself accountable, only to then, years later, come back and ask to be uncanceled. And it's like, okay, so what you thought happened was you were getting canceled. If it is true that he didn't mean to speak to the 16-year-old who said they were 18, blah, blah, blah. If everyone else of like the 15 accusers is lying, still, as a public figure, these are your responsibilities. There is a reason that big celebrities don't just randomly DM people. There is a reason that a lot of the times they date people who are not in the public eye as well. Like, there's so many things here that I just don't really understand how they happened, and I think the very base level of it all is just a lack of responsibility. And granted, he was young, but I also feel like with the amount of money you have, you should have a publicist to learn how to navigate these things. And in fact, because people are so quickly canceled, I would really think that anyone who becomes famous in this day and age who is young and maybe has a looser grasp on how to behave, I guess, and I say behave loosely. A publicist would be the first thing you would get, not to shield yourself, but to inform yourself and protect yourself and not get yourself in situations like this in the first place. So it's crazy to me that I see these people getting these fucking mansions, but they're not getting any level of self-protection, and I'm not talking about security. Like I said, it's learning how to be in the public eye without any, guidebook. As far as I know, there's no printed rule book telling you how to do that. So I feel like one of the first things that should be done, along with probably a therapist, because I can't imagine the stress and all of that, is getting someone who can at least give you an idea of how to manage things and what specifically to not do. Because I'm pretty sure DMing randos from your official Instagram where they can see that you have millions of followers is not it. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Honestly, I do think that this whole thing was really just an ad. I really don't know what the purpose was, because not much of what he's saying here is brand new information. I was still interested to know in case there was, but I don't really feel like we learned all that much. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.